All right, off in the Western Conference, we got the NBA playoffs, rounding up the first seeded Los Angeles Lakers, and then going with the hot momentum team, the Portland Trail Blazers, who defeated the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in tournament, and they're now going to face off LeBron James and the crew. To be honest, Portland's got the momentum ever since they were 6-2 in the bubble, then winning against the Grizzlies. Now they're 7-2. As we can see with the Lakers, they have a 49-14 record. And when it comes down to the Portland Trail Blazers, led by pretty much the bubble MVP of Damian Lillard, they do have a record of 35-39. The team is healthy. Carmelo Anthony's lost 20 pounds. They moved him down to the small forward slot selection. They got their bigs back with Nurkic, who's been a big-time player for their team, which they needed. And you do have Zach Collins at the 4, so another big man as well. This series, I think, is actually going to go around 6 games, pretty much. I think this is going to be a very close series. You know, when it comes down to a motivated Damian Lillard, a killer with CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony plays perfectly in that set, and then you have Nurkic. This series is going to be very interesting when it comes down to it. The Los Angeles Lakers, they really got to fill out that 3 slot because ever since Avery Bradley's been gone, they've been kind of fiddling around with different lineups of KCP in the mix, Kyle Kuzma. They may want to bring in J.R. Smith or maybe Alex Caruso. They're going back and forth when it comes down to it. I think with this series right here, I've seen the Los Angeles Lakers within the bubble. They've been really inconsistent. They won against the Denver Nuggets against a bunch of their bench players. And when you have LeBron and AD playing around 30 plus minutes a game, maybe even 40 in that mix, the advantage the Los Angeles Lakers do have is with their bigs. Anthony Davis needs to be electric. No one's going to be able to stop AD in the mix. And plus, you have JaVale McGee as well. So we can see some matchups of going around with JaVale McGee is on Nurkic. You're going to have Anthony Davis like on Zach Collins. Now it gets a little, not tricky, but you can move your way with the other matchups here. With Damian Lillard, it's unfortunate that Avery Bradley's not on the team anymore. You're most likely going to have to throw like a KCP if he is going to be starting on the team to be guarding him. I could see Danny Green stay on CJ McCollum, and then LeBron James will just be on Melo. I think that would be a great matchup, and LeBron doesn't have to do too much. Melo can hit you on the offensive isolated system, but besides from that, I think LeBron would be fine overall on that. Damian Lillard is going to have a bunch of games where he's going to pull a 30 to 40 in here. Even though these are playoff games, I think he's still going to have 1 or 2 35 to 40 point games when it comes to it. Now, when it comes down to coaching, I like Frank Vogel and his rotations. The Lakers are around 10 deep. It's going to be very different in the playoffs. I think they're probably going to run around 9 players of off the bench. You're going to be able to have Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench for sure, Markieff Morris, Alex Caruso. I think they may give some minutes to J.R. Smith, just a few. And besides from that, I'm probably missing one more player that they'll probably include in the mix. Dwight Howard, yeah. So they'll probably go 9 to 10 like that in the mix when it comes to it. LeBron James, he always activates playoff mode. I know last season, in the regular season, he said he was going to activate it, and they pretty much went like 2-8 and lost against the Suns and teams like that. But this team is a championship contending team to win the NBA championship, which most people are kind of saying they're in the mix for, alongside the Clippers and Bucks. But you have Anthony Davis on your team. I know LeBron's going to be able to kick it up another level. And there's no team with the Portland Trail Blazers. There's no player that can guard LeBron James. So he's going to have a heyday. Same thing with Anthony Davis. I think those two are going to be able to kill it out there. I still think this is going to 6 games because you have a motivated Damian Lillard, who is the bubble MVP. Pretty much been going off back and forth, who's clutch. CJ McCollum's been picking up. And plus, they have their big man that are finally healthy. And the Lakers are going to have a couple bits of trouble when it comes down to it. They're still trying to find their identity and flow since Avery Bradley's been gone and down with, let alone LeBron James is finally picking up the rust. Because he was rusty his first couple games when it comes down to it. Only scoring like 17 points, 15, 22. But we're going to need LeBron to crank it up to around 30 points a game. And then Anthony Davis at least 25 points. I think that'll be good enough for those averages that the Lakers can be able to pass them in 6 games. I know a couple people are saying that there may be an upset with the Blazers beating the Lakers. I think that's asinine. I think they can push it to a Game 6, maybe even a Game 7, but the Lakers are not going to lose this series. They got everything on deck, and I just don't see how Damian Lillard can be able to keep this going on. I mean, he did need a couple of luck within the Mavericks game and with the Brooklyn Nets. And plus, CJ McCollum had to come in clutch at the very end against the Grizzlies. But you do have a championship contending favorites with the Lakers. I think they'll get it done in 6 games, worst case scenario. But let's see when it comes down to.